Hello and welcome to the big picture. The unusual alliance government of the PDP and BJP in Jammu and Kashmir is going through throes of a crisis. The release of separatist leader Masarat Alam, ordered by the J&K Chief Minister Mufti Mohammad Saeed, has resulted in a war of words between the two allies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Rajnath Singh have strongly criticized the release of Alam in the parliament. BJP has warned that such actions are not part of the common minimum program and have asked PDP to stick to it. Meanwhile, it is said that this action of the Chief Minister are part of the peace process, coming as it does after statement complimenting Pakistan and Hurriyat leadership for the peaceful elections in the state. It has raised a storm. If this action of releasing separatist leaders going to prove beneficial to the state in the long run, or is it going to harm? What will be the impact of it on the relations between the PDP and BJP? How will it affect the functioning of the government? Many questions have cropped up which needs a discussion. To discuss this today, we have with us Naeem Akhtar of the PDP, who is the Education Minister in the Jammu and Kashmir government, on the phone line from Jammu. Seshadri Chari, BJP leader and a political analyst. Dr. Ajay Kumar, Spokesperson, Congress. Justice B.A. Khan, former Chief Justice, Jammu and Kashmir High Court, and Vinod Sharma, political editor, Hindustan Times. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Akhtar, how do you react to the statements made by both the Prime Minister and the Home Minister today in the Parliament?
I would not like to call it a reaction, but a statement of fact that I would make. This is not something that we have not just invented in Jammu and Kashmir. Releasing someone who does not face a specific charge, who does not face a criminal charge, letting him out because the Supreme Court has repeatedly said that this particular person should not be arrested on same charge again and again. That having been said, it has been the policy of Jammu and Kashmir People's Democratic Party and Mufti Mohammad Saeed since 2002, when Congress was our partner, when we released Mr. Gilani, Mr. Yasin Malik, and all other people who when Kashmir had been converted into a prison. We opened the gates of that prison and let these people go and join the political system, and then we had enough political strength to take them on politically. We believe that it is a battle of ideas which cannot be fought by keeping people in jails, and we are out to do that. Having been said, it was at that time Mr. Vajpayee who, after having seen the profound impact of that decision of Mufti Saab, he said he publicly appreciated this healing touch policy. When Ghulam Nabi Azad took over as Chief Minister, Sonia Gandhi wrote a letter to him commending to him the healing touch policy of Mufti Mohammad Saeed, and she asked him to continue this. Unfortunately, both Ghulam Nabi Azad and Umar Abdullah, they forgot about it and they converted Kashmir into a place again where now a very ordinary development that somebody who has been let off by the Supreme Court of India, that person is allowed to walk out of the jail, and there is a huge political earthquake across the country. We believe that the people of Jammu and Kashmir should not be only seen as part of a territory, but part of a system, part of a robust judicial system.
Mr. Akhtar,
they should be seen as part of a democratic system in which they have given a thumbs up right now.
Mr. Akhtar, sorry to intervene, but the question is this, that you are part of an alliance government there. You have an ally, BJP, which is part of the government. The BJP leadership says that they have not been consulted, they were never informed about this decision. How can a decision which can create so much problems not be taken without consulting your ally?
If you have gone through our common minimum program,
yes,
it says that we have to create an atmosphere of reconciliation by taking everybody on board, all stakeholders, including Hurriyat and including the people across the LOC. That is a written document. And if we cannot allow somebody who has been let off by the Supreme Court of India, when Afzal Guru was hanged, It was the Supreme Court of India that issued the order. We followed that. But when the Supreme Court of India asked the government of Jammu and Kashmir to let somebody off, so why should we have cold feet about it?
Mr. Akhtar, I have with me Vinod Sharma, political editor of Hindustan Times. He wants to ask you a question. Vinod?
Mr. Akhtar, you are a very persuasive person, you know, and much of what you said is a very articulate expression of your party's stated position.
Thank you, Vinod.
But I'm sorry to say that either the Prime Minister didn't pay heed to you, or he didn't understand what Mr. Mufti Mohammed Sayed was telling him in their meetings, or what were the implications, or what were the layers of this whole reconciliation pitch that one is seeing in Kashmir. I can understand it from the point of view of your government and your Chief Minister, but it is not making any sense to me from the point of view of the BJP and what was stated in the two houses today, first by the Home Minister and then later even the PM intervened in the Lok Sabha. And the Prime Minister seemed to be just distancing himself from this initiative of your government.
Okay. Let him. Yes, Mr. Akhtar.
Yes. I would not comment on because I cannot advise, obviously, I cannot advise the Prime Minister of the country how he should react to a situation. But I must reiterate that we have a policy that we will not keep anybody in jail unless he is required by law. That is a very clear and firm. If we cannot guarantee even that much of honor and dignity to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, then it's no use for us to be part of the democratic system.
Mr. Akhtar, but Mr. Akhtar, the problem is that your ally says that they are not aware of this. I mean, should it not have been the duty? Should it not have been the duty of the Chief Minister to at least inform them that this is what is being done?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Mr. Akhtar, my question is, wasn't the onus on the Chief Minister to have informed his allies?
That is your perspective of it, not ours.
Sorry?
That is your perspective of it, not ours.
No, in the Lok Sabha today, in the Rajya Sabha today, Mr. Akhtar, a very telling point was made, and that brought out the contradiction, and which was that while Mr. Mufti Mohammed Sayed was within his rights to have made the earlier statement about the conducive atmosphere for elections and the good work of the people across the border and the good turn done by the Hurriyat. But this is an executive decision of your government. That was a political statement. Now, how can an ally...
This is an executive decision and
so, the Prime Minister, or do you think the Prime Minister should be trusted when he says he wasn't aware of it?
It is a system that is working. Does that system require us to go every time to the central government? I'm not sure.
Okay, Mr. Akhtar, please stay on. I'll come back to you. Mr. Seshadri, Chari, how do you react to it? The government is saying, the Prime Minister is saying something, the Home Minister is saying something. Mr. Akhtar has a completely different point of view.
No, it is very unfortunate that Mr. Akhtar, a very seasoned politician himself, is not seeing the point that the BJP has made in both the houses, and also the local BJP has made it very clear. There are some points that he has raised. Number one, he says we are releasing someone. The person who has been released,
person he says,
is not
Supreme
just
Court
someone.
Supreme Court has.
It is not just someone. The Supreme Court has said that you cannot arrest the same person on different charges. You have to frame all the charges together. You can tub those charges. I don't know, former justice will be able to say throw much light about it.
Right.
But here is a person who was responsible for creation of a problem, stone pelting issue, killing more than 120 people in that case, who did not pay heed even to people like Gilani, who at that time said, don't target the police, don't vandalize the property. Even then these people went ahead. There was a 10 lakh award on his
reward on his head.
And the former chief minister who got him arrested through the local police is on record saying that after his arrest the situation was normal, which amply proves, this is not the BJP which is saying it, the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir says it. And then when he says that we used to do it when we were with the Congress. I am sorry, PDP, Mr. Mufti, you are not with the Congress anymore. You are with the BJP. You should know the difference. And if you do not know the difference, I am sorry to say this. As a responsible person of BJP, let me tell you, you will have to pay a very heavy price for this.
Mr.
We
Akhtar?
don't care. We don't care what you do.
Mr.
And
Akhtar?
if you are going to throw this common minimum program on our face, please show me one place, one sentence in the common minimum program
I can read that sentence.
which says separatists lodged in the jails will be released.
Okay, Mr. Akhtar, would you respond to it, please?
It is, if it is the word of Omar Abdullah on this, I think it is Omar Abdullah who was responsible for 2010 killings. It was his inefficiency, it was his government that created this monsters out of it. It was his government, and if this particular person was involved, why did Omar Abdullah fail to prove that in the court of law? Why had he to resort to these flimsy cases against him, which the Supreme Court of India shot down?
There are cases against him.
One second.
There are cases
No, one second.
There are cases against him.
Mr. Chari,
And the Supreme Court did not tell your government to leave.
We
Number one.
consider ourselves as...
Mr. Chari, 1 minute.
Naeem
Mr.
sir,
Chari,
let
one
me
minute.
make it very clear.
Just a second.
Mr. Chari,
we consider
No, Mr. Chari,
ourselves...
please, let him finish. Mr. Akhtar, you need
consider
to...
ourselves as the allies of BJP, and if Mr. Chari has thought of using this public forum about issuing a threat, I think that's not the exact way to run a coalition.
But you
Mrs.
did not even
Mr.
consult. You did
Akhtar-
not even consult. You said all stakeholders will be taken on board. You
Mr.
think the
Akhtar, it
BJP
is-
is not a stakeholder? They are the partners to the government run by Mufti Muhammad Saab. We are partners. And you have not even told your own deputy chief minister. Forget the prime minister. Forget the home minister. Did you tell your own deputy chief minister? At least did you have the courtesy of calling him on phone?
Mr. Chari, you have taken this debate, which was supposed to be a civilized debate on the issue.
No, I'm
whether
asking you a highly civilized question, sir.
I am not doubting that. That is why
Did
I
you-
am shocked.
whom
That's
did
why
you
I am
inform?
shocked when you issue a threat, open threat that you are doing this and that. I thought that this was not perhaps the forum to do that.
No,
Yeah, it was
I'm telling you,
Mr. Chari, let me get the Congress in on this. Dr. Ajay Kumar, your party has been very vocal on the floor of the House today in Parliament and also outside. Now, what is it that you people want? What is it that you people think that should be done at this point of time?
See, one thing I definitely would tell Mr. Chari that thank God we are not like BJP, because they have no clue on what's happening. The Prime Minister says that I don't know what's happening. The Home Minister says we totally dissociate ourselves. And I want to correct, get the perception, and even the PDP people, their statements corrected is when the Congress and PDP in government and Mr. Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, there was a open communication between the state government and the central government, and the decisions were taken in confidence building steps, which was like what Mr. Vajpayee had said, Kashmiriyat, Insaniyat, Jamhuriyat, and all this, the various statements which were made. So everybody was aware of what was happening. Today we have a government in J&K and the central government, they are a partner there, and they say, and Mr. Chari's statement is so funny because he says that we are not informed. Then why you had 2 months for negotiation, and then you come in because it's by and large the Bharatiya Janata Party only believes in making statements and then hurrying in making great haste. All those people. So thank God we are not BJP. But the important part is the government should come clarify and tell them what is their position. What is the situation? What is it according to a plan in building confidence building measures, or you're releasing people? Even I think my PDP colleague, on the channel was saying Supreme Court. It is a public safety detention order. So it can be by government can continue to extend it if they feel the public safety will be disturbed. So there is a question of keep going through the legal rights, but there is an adequate provision in law for preventive detention, because that's what the gentleman who's been released is guilty of. Now we are hearing of some more people being released. So the problem is the government on a sensitive state like Jammu and Kashmir, there is no coordination between the state government and the central government.
Okay.
BJP and PDP made so much of this maximum
Okay,
governance.
okay, Ajay.
No, so Girish, let me finish. So the issue is total left-footed approach towards governance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Justice,
Let
just
me-
no, no,
let me- Ajay
I'll
Kumar,
get.
this
No,
is
let
exactly
me get.
what is my point also.
No, let me get Justice Khan in there. Justice Khan, there's a few legal issues being thrown about here. Supreme Court has said that, Mr. Akhtar says that Supreme Court has cleared him. How can he be kept? Ajay Kumar says that, it's a Public Safety Act, it can be extended, and, the detention can be extended. What is the release of this person, Masarat Alam, in tune with the legalities involved?
Girish, as you know, I belong to the judiciary,
Yes.
so I'll be talking only as a man of judiciary. I will not be participating in this politicking on an issue in which I find an overreaction and oversensitivity, perhaps on no basis. The sketchy information which I have gathered is that this man was detained in 2010.
Yes.
After those stone-throwing incidents, under Public Safety Act. It's a local act. This Mr. Ajay Kumar may not, he is betraying his ignorance on this. It's a local act. It is something modeled on the Defense of India Act and National Security Act which we had. It allows a preventive detention. Before the amendments at 2010, it allowed a detention for 2 years without trial in a case where a person was being detained for acting prejudicially to the security of state. Now, this man was done under that. Under public order, we had one year limit of detention in that. And it has safeguards also, sufficient safeguards. Now, I further learned when that detention period ran out, 2 years
So it ran out in 2012?
2012.
Right.
He was booked in an FIR or some sedition or whatever, I don't have the details of that. And his detention was continued. Ultimately, he was bailed out in that. After he was bailed out in that, he was again detained under Public Safety Act in a fresh order, second order. Now that second order also ran out its life. Then the fellow was not released and some more FIRs were pending against him in which he went on getting bail, this and that. That's my information. And I think in the Lok Sabha also, Rajya Sabha today also, it was said that he was bailed out in all matters and so on and so forth.
There were 23 or 27
Then
cases.
he goes to the Supreme Court. He says, look here, I have 2 public safety orders have run out their life. 3rd public safety order is being prepared against me. Please let me off. There is nothing against me. Supreme Court observes that under the same Public Safety Act, there is a procedure that once an order under preventive detention is prepared and is being submitted to the government, that government will seek the information of the advisory board, and that advisory board has to give a hearing to the fellow. So Supreme Court says, give him a hearing, and if you mean to continue his 3rd order, can do. Now that process is not undertaken at all by the previous government. And meanwhile, you have elections, and meanwhile, you have a change in the government. Now, change in the government on scrutiny, this government finds, Mufti Sahib is holding the, Chief Minister is holding the home portfolio. He finds that this person, in the context of, I don't know what they have, their understanding is about their minimum common program, when they say reconciliation, when they say we'll create a confidence building and this and that. He finds that this man, there is no legal basis or warrant to
For him to
keep
continue
for
under
the-
detention.
For plus, in that confidence building scenario,
Okay.
just a minute.
Yes.
No, he decides to release him. The government decides to release him. Now, Prime Minister does not come into this picture. See, for every prisoner's release, a state chief minister need not take a prior permission of the Prime Minister, nor is Prime Minister required to be consulted in that. So, as far as legal aspect of this is concerned, I feel that his release, barring its political overtones, barring its politicking, barring its... Now, those people who have already practiced it earlier, now raising a hue and cry on this. Barring all that, it's a small issue. You don't have to show. You have to rise above all considerations when you are dealing with a place like Kashmir. That's why it took 2 months for them to reach out some kind of an understanding. On every release, if you raise halla gulla, hue and cry every time, this thing is not going to work out.
Okay. So you're essentially saying that the government, the Jammu and Kashmir government, the chief minister were well within his rights to have released this person in the manner in which it was done.
Not only this, when Sheikh Abdullah was released in 1964, pursuant to the policy of Ghulam Muhammad Sadiq, which these people must not be knowing, that policy was called liberalization policy. And the whole idea was that I will exhaust this man on the ground. Let him come, hold his public meetings, we will also hold our public meetings.
Okay.
No, may I say one thing?
Yes.
The Honorable Judge is 100% right that this case is legally tenable insofar as Mufti is concerned and what was rendered on the paper and Mufti's own politics is concerned and his stated positions on this issue are concerned. The problem is...
Vinod, I need to read that aspect of the common minimum program.
Yes, please.
Which both Seshadri, Chari and Mr. Akhtar have been talking about. It says, this is I suppose, I'm sure I'll get back to Mr. Akhtar to confirm this is what he means. The common minimum program says, the purpose of this alliance is to form a coalition government that will be empowered to catalyze reconciliation and confidence building within and across the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir, thereby ensuring peace in the state. This will in turn create an enabling environment for all-round economic development of the state and prosperity of the people. This is Mr. Akhtar, is this what you were referring to when you're talking of common minimum?
Yes,
program?
I was. And I would add to what Justice Khan said. This is the ally of BJP, Mr. Sajad Lone. He was in a similar position only 2 years back in which Masarat Alam is today. Because we engaged him, because the system engaged him, he is now a minister in this government and with the support of the BJP. No. It's no wonder that Masarat Alam and others might join the national mainstream as we try to rope them in.
Okay.
If you continue to keep them, deny them the advantage of being a part of a democratic system, how are we going to address them? How are we going to engage them? This is a battle of ideas that is to be fought.
Absolutely, Mr. Akhtar, there is a battle of ideas. Vinod, battle of ideas. No, in this battle of ideas, what is important is that the two parties which are running the government together don't seem to be in agreement.
Oh, because there is an idea called the BJP on the issue of Kashmir. And there is the conflict. And I wonder whether the government at the center has the perseverance and the wisdom in order to dilute that idea, to bring it in communion with the idea of the PDP. That is the conflict. And I must ask that how is it that these contradictions are coming up so early in the life of this government? Girish, in 9 days' time, Kashmir, the governance in Kashmir, the government in Kashmir has figured in parliament on 3 occasions.
Right.
On 3 occasions in 9 days. And this accord, according to my information, was sued up by a former Vice Chancellor of Jammu University, if I am not wrong. Seshadri Chari is sitting here, and a known face of the Sangha Parivar. He was there. Now, what were these guys doing when they were writing these lines or rendering the signatures on these lines? What was the president of the BJP doing when they were writing these lines and rendering the signatures on these lines? And what was the Prime Minister's reaction when he read those lines after the accord was reached or before the accord was reached, and what transpired when he met the Mufti at his home in Delhi before the government formation?
Okay.
Now, these are the questions.
These are the questions which Seshadri Chari has to answer.
I have to quickly tell him. I appreciate.
I'll come to you, Ajay.
No, I appreciate Vinod's point. Of course, the common minimum program was dished out, but it was not the Prime Minister of India who prepared the common minimum program. It was not the party president. they were engaged in more serious problems at the center.
you know,
And as Justice
what
very
are you trying
rightly
to say,
said,
Mr. Chari,
as Justice
that
very
these two
rightly
people,
said,
the
no.
president of the party and the
See,
prime minister, were not party to this common minimum. This is what you're trying to say?
The prime minister and the president had handed it over to somebody.
No, that's
very
fine.
unfortunately, very
No,
unfortunately.
we are not expecting them to sit and write
Correct,
these things.
exactly.
Right.
But the party runs on certain trust and faith. So we had trust and faith that the person concerned would have gone into all
my
these
friend
things.
Chari.
But there are a lot of ambiguities. There are a lot of ambiguities in the common minimum program, no doubt about it. But these ambiguities should not become a cause for an action on the part of PDP without consulting their partners.
Mr.
If
Mr.
this
Chari,
is what they have,
let me get Mr. Akhtar on there. You earlier, as Mr. Akhtar said, you virtually threatened them with the consequences, and now you are talking of ambiguity. Mr. Akhtar, what are these ambiguities?
I think Mr. Chari has made it very clear. We cannot live with threats. We cannot live with threats. If this coalition is to be carried out through threats, I really wonder whether we are at the right place. Coming from Mr. Chari, who has been so civilized and so decent all through his debates, if he extends a threat to Mufti Muhammad Saeed that you have to dire consequences would be being without power. We are ready for that.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. We are not hankering after power. You did not read. You please read this sentence. This says, so that in Jammu Kashmir, thereby ensuring peace in the state. This will in turn create an enabling environment for all-round economic development. The priority is not releasing these people from the jail. The priority is peaceful environment.
Seshadri, it says catalyze reconciliation.
Development.
Mr. Akhtar, the problem is that the common minimum program doesn't specify that you're going to release prisoners.
Exactly.
We have tried this in 2002, and that is what changed the entire global image of this country, our country, in 2002, when Mufti Muhammad Saeed arrived and changed the discourse in Jammu and Kashmir.
Naeem Saab, you could have started with rehabilitation of flood-affected people in Jammu. You could have started with rehabilitation of people in Ladakh. You could have reached out to the people in Ladakh. You could have reached out to the Buddhists in Ladakh. You could have done so many other things.
There are no flood-affected areas in Ladakh and Jammu, sir. They are mostly in Kashmir.
Okay, sir. Please. Ajay? Yes, quickly, Ajay. You wanted to make a point.
One is that I just wanted to remind Justice Khan that I'm very much aware that the Public Safety Act is a Kashmiri Act, but the way Justice Khan was speaking as if he had a more political opinion than all of us on the panel. But the important part, Girish, is I think the fundamental issue is the Deputy Chief Minister, who is from Bharatiya Janata Party, has no idea. So what is this? I mean, the Prime Minister and Home Minister doesn't have an idea, fine. But I think PDP, they are in the government together, and if they're taking decisions without keeping the Deputy Chief Minister, then what kind of government are we having there? So, Justice Khan, you need to also ask that, does the Chief Minister have to answer to his cabinet? It's a collective decision. Or, sir, that is also a personal choice of, the Chief Minister.
Okay. I don't think Justice Khan needs to answer that. But, Mr. Akhtar, is this alliance of yours, is this government safe? Considering the kind of language being used, the kind of, can we hope that this alliance will continue for some more time at least? I think we have lost Mr. Akhtar at the right time. Vinod, very quickly, last words to you.
No, I think that
the same question.
It's my hunch. I have no empirical information to buttress it, and I think that much of what Mufti is doing has the tacit approval of the government at the center, because after all, there has
You're
to be.
You're making a very controversial statement.
No, because for the simple. But I hope, and that's why I hope, and how I wished that the Prime Minister shouldn't have stated anything on this in Parliament.
Okay,
by his saying it, I think the die is almost cast.
The die is
Had
almost
he kept
cast.
quiet in Parliament and let the Home Minister speak,
okay,
that would have been much better.
Okay, Vinod, I think on that note we need to end. We're running out of time completely. But the fact is that things are not looking very good. We'll wait and see how this thing will. Very quickly, Mr. Justice Khan.
Girish, all I wanted to say and appeal to all concerned that Kashmir is a very special issue. Please deal with it with a broader outlook.
Okay, I think
rise
on that,
above all narrow considerations.
okay, sir. I think on that note, we need to end.
Also go to the Chief Minister.
Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in Big Picture same time tomorrow.